Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're starting in about 1 minute. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to get started singing Psalm 150, the last psalm in the book of Psalms. Let every single being that has breath inside offer praise. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, there's more people than that sounded like. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is wonderful to see all of you here. We are so glad to welcome you to Temple Bethel and to our congregation. The word Shabbat means to stop, to rest, to reflect, to renew. We get working so fast and so hard that sometimes we sort of forget that it's actually really important to just take a moment of pause, right? To take a moment of pause and to be able to do what's important in our lives, to be with one another, to be able to pray, to be able to just actually reflect and renew our souls. And each and every week we do so in a recognition that we're actually imitating the way that God created at the beginning of creation as told to us in the Torah. God created for 6 days. On the seventh day, God had Shabbat and rested, and so we do too. And we want to invite you to actually let the outside world be the outside world, to create an oasis of time and space right here, and just to be here. And to do that, one way to do that is actually to let your cell phones, be unconnectable. So there's a Shabbat mode on your phone. It looks like an airplane, right? They've borrowed it from us, and by all means, put your phone onto airplane mode. Just let the outside world be the outside world, and just give yourself a gift of being right here, right now. The word shalom is our tradition's greatest prayer. It's our prayer for peace. It's our prayer for hope. It's our way that we say hello to one another, the way that we say goodbye to one another. It's just sort of a word that encompasses it all. And before we begin, we sort of recognize that, well, first off, that this Benot Mitzvah, well, it was supposed to happen in 2021, right? So first off, we just recognize that we're here and that we're together, and amen. Like, that is just awesome, right? That's wonderful. But also that the configuration of people that we have right here, right now, it's unique. This exact group of people who are right here who are sitting here or who are online, it's never happened before and it will probably never happen exactly the same way again. So we take a moment to also welcome one another here and to say Shabbat Shalom to the people who are around us. So I want to invite you to turn to the north, the south, the east, the west, in all different directions, and to say Shabbat Shalom to the people who are around us and just to welcome one another here. So please, this is a time for you to talk and say Shabbat Shalom. Oh, thank you.
You are my only neighbor, bro.
Yeah, same.
That was fast. All right. Underneath your seats, there are these blue prayer books. So there should be underneath your seats. Actually, Harrison, you might need to go right over here. All right.
There's one.
So these blue prayer books. Oh, there's one. There's one there. Sometimes they're hard to get. They're hard to get. There's one that was actually there, Harrison. All right. This prayer book is called Mishkan Tefillah, and it opens from right to left because in Hebrew we read from right to left. And you'll notice that this morning's service, led by Rachel and Hadley, that this service is actually completely participatory. We invite you to read along in English. We invite you to read along in Hebrew. And if you don't know Hebrew, that's okay because there's transliteration from Hebrew into Latin characters. And if you don't know the music that we're singing, you can always tune in with a lie. You can read along in English. There's lots of ways to participate. But as they're leading services this morning, it's not a performative experience. It's an opportunity for all of us to join in, to see maybe a word or an idea sort of pop out at you, and let your mind think on it, and maybe transform your day. So we're going to have the prayers on the screens as well. And if you get lost, and I promise you that you would be the very first person in a Jewish service to ever get lost. That's a joke, okay? I promise. If you get lost, don't worry. Rachel and Hadley are going to announce some of the page numbers, but also on top of that, they're also on the lower right-hand side of the screen. There are page numbers, and you can find your way yourself. And chances are, if you find that we're not on the page that you thought we were on, turn the page, and I'm almost certain that it will be there. All right. And so we have an opportunity to just be together. And we're going to begin with the words of Baruch. And the words of Baruch are our call to worship. And they formally say, are you ready to participate? And so we're all going to say yes, but we're going to do so in Hebrew. And so I want to invite you to rise with the words of Baruch. And we're going to turn to page 226.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Please turn to page 228. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Yotzer Or Uvarei Hoshech Oseh Shalom Uvarei Et Hakol Hama'ir La'aretz V'ladarim Alecha Barachamim Uvtuvu Mekadesh Behol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh V'reshit Ma'arabu Ma'asecha Adonai Kulam Bechochma Asita Ma'alaretz Kinyanecha Teach Barak Adonai Eloheinu Al Shevach Ma'aseh Yadecha Ve'al Me'orei Or She'asita Yifa'aruha Sela Or Hadash Ad Sion Ta'ir V'nizkeh Kulanu Ne'reh Le'ro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and
like blinded we saw, the inner and outer worlds are one.
as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us. As we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto. Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elev asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibartam bam, beshivtecha, bevetecha, uvletecha, baderech, uvshokbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vechayu letotafot, bein einecha. Uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Eloheihem ani Adonai Eloheihem asher Yetem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Eloheihem.
We continue on page 239. Ahmed, there is no place where you are not.
Even in the wilderness there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norah tehilot, o sefelech.
Shira chadasha shibechu geulim, leshimcha sefatayam, yachad kulam hodu ve'imlichu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Tzur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufedechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo kedosh Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Hasdei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshiach Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atarav Lehoshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Hayim Behesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Nofelim Verofei Holim Umatir Asurim Mekayim Emunato Lishenei Hafar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umidom Elah Melech Maimi Umechayeh Umatmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam Keshem shemakdishim oto bishmacharu Kakatu al yad neviecha Nekara ze'el ze'el mar
Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh,
Adonai Tziva'ot, Meloch ha'aretz, Devoto.
Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir, Shimcha bechol ha'aretz.
Baruch Devot Adonai, Mimkomo.
Achad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, vehu Yoshmienu, be'amaraz le'enei chol chai.
Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, Ledor Vador, Alleluia.
Ledor vador nagid godlecha, uvnexaf nexafim kedushatcha knakdish, veshivcha hua Eloheinu meipinu lo yamush, leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. To all generations we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the Holy God.
Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei Onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei Onei Shabbat.
Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shvi'i
Shabbat.
Kulam yizbehu v'yitan yumituvecha
Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shomrei Shabbat Nekorei Onei Shabbat Yismechu B'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat Nekorei Onei Shabbat
V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto
Shabbat
Chemdat yamim oto karata
Shabbat Yismechu B'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat Nekorei Onei Shabbat Yismechu B'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat Nekorei Onei Shabbat
Zecher lema'aseh v'reshit
Shabbat
Zecher lema'aseh v'reshit
Shabbat Yismechu B'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat Nekorei Onei Shabbat Yismechu B'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat Nekorei Onei Shabbat
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
We now take a moment of silent prayer.
weeks ago, I'm on, okay. 3 weeks ago exactly, we celebrated the holiday of Passover. And at the holiday of Passover, we are reminded about how our people experienced slavery and servitude and oppression in Egypt. And they had the audacity, we call it chutzpah, to imagine a better place in a promised land and to walk towards that promise together. And our tradition tells us that it took 50 days, 49, 7 weeks really, plus 1, to go from Egypt towards a place called Mount Sinai. And we're in a period which is known as the Omer, where we count up those 49 days, each day counting towards Mount Sinai, where our tradition tells us that our people received the Torah and the teachings of our tradition, not just as a gift that was given to the generations that lived in the desert, but as a gift that would continue to live amongst our people, because our people chose to pass the Torah, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation into the hands of our young people. In other words, what good is the Torah and the values in our traditions if it's just taught by rabbis or cantors or prophets? What good is that tradition if it's not held by our young people and then incorporated into their lives in the way that they walk around in the world? This morning, we have an opportunity to recreate that Sinai experience that happened thousands of years ago, and to literally pass the Torah, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation into Hadley and into Rachel's arms. But to do so, we need some help. So I want to invite forward to pass the Torah. Actually, first off, David and Will. Are you ready? They've been waiting for this moment. You can see that they were ready. I called them and they stood up in attention. All right. So David and Will, what I want you to do is come stand over by the doors, but don't open yet, okay? And I'm going to invite Hadley and Rachel to go stand right here. And Rachel's family, Andrew and Dina and Larry and Susan Hurst and Hillary Anuzio and Al and Donna Hurst, if you will come forward and come stand in a line this way. And for Hadley's family, we're going to have Andrew and Annie, and I think probably Harrison too. Yes, okay, we want to make sure. And Albert, Endel, and Nikki Lord, and Rick, and Barnett, you are sitting right there. Is that right? All right, perfect. And I want to invite the congregation to please rise. Hadley and Rachel, take one moment and take one step forward. You can come on the floor if you want. Okay, turn around and look at your own families. Hadley, look at Rachel's family. I don't know any of these people. Right, okay. So look at your own families and look at your family members in the eyes. All right? Just take a moment to look at each one of them. And to see your families here before you, the generations of your family, passing this the Torah, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation, and how special it is to have your families before you. Now, I'm going to ask you to stand back in line to ready to receive the Torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
There are a lot of rules that we have to live with every day, whether we like them or not. My parents tell me to be respectful to people and to not talk back. They also tell me to go to bed at a reasonable hour, to not eat sweets before dinner, and to not use the trampoline when no one else is home. At school, I have to make sure my phone is away, use my Chromebook appropriately, and get the work done on time. Rules, rules, rules. Sometimes it feels like the people in my life emphasize a lot of rules. As I prepared for my bat mitzvah, I read my Torah portion, Parashat Kiddushim, which is found in the book of Leviticus. The word Kiddushim means holy. This Torah portion is often known as the Holiness Code. As I read my Torah portion, I realized it was filled with rules that God told to Moses, such as, do not turn to idols or make gods for yourself. You shall each revere to your mother and your father and keep my Sabbaths. There are rules about idolatry. There is a rule about charity. There is a rule about honesty in business. Rules, rules, rules. What do all these rules have to do with being holy? In some ways, I expected that the Holiness Code would be about praying to God and trying to get close to God through prayer. But instead of commanding us to pray to God to be holy, God wants us to be good people. Humans, unlike other creatures, have an incredible ability to destroy, harm, overuse natural resources, and be horrible to everyone and everything. So, my Torah portion is urging us to be holy through our actions. When a homeless person is hungry and we do nothing, are we really holy? When disrespecting each other and failing to treat each other with kindness, we aren't being holy. When we litter and harm the earth, we are disrespectful to all of God's creations and to the individuals who have to pick up after us. We can pray all we want, but if our actions don't match up to the prayers that we say, then we aren't reaching up to the type of holiness that God would want. But if we do good things and have a spiritual life that reinforces goodness, we can reach towards holiness and God. We can be holy and humble. Holiness means that every person matters. Holiness means to love each person as yourself. Holiness is a choice about how we live each day to improve the world we live in. Would I like to eat Kit Kats before dinner? Yes. But in doing so, I wouldn't be treating my body with respect. Are there times when I'd like to ignore my parents and teachers and just talk to my friends? If I'm being honest, yes. But that would be disrespectful, and I wouldn't be the kind of person I want to be. Would it be easier to ignore the homeless person on the street? Yes. But they really need the help. We could be the help that they need. The choice of holiness is ours. Should we choose it?
For the first Aliyah today, invite forward Larry and Susan Hurst, and Hillary Annunzio, and Marcia Fitzmaurice. Annunzio. I had it in the rehearsal. I apologize. So Larry and Susan Hurst, Hillary Annunzio, please come forward, and Marcia Fitzmaurice, please come forward.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher b'kavanu mikol ha'olam v'natan lanu et Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Vayidaber Adonai al Moshe lemor. Daber al kol adad b'nei Israel. V'amarta Elohem kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Eloheihem. Ish imo ve'aviv timra'u ve'et shabbatotai tishmoru ani Adonai Eloheihem.
And we say aloud, Yesher Koach, come give her a hug. And everyone say Yesher. Everyone say Koach. Put together, say Yesher Koach. It means keep up the strength, or in Charlotte we say keep pounding. In Texas, where I was, came from before here, was keep trucking. And it is with honor that you have come here before the Torah, and to have an aliyah, and to the whole family. As we invite you to come over here and come stand on the next other side of cancer. And to get to invite your parents, Andrew and Dina, accompanied by your younger brothers who can't have the aliyah today because they're not yet of age, but they're proving themselves. Come on up, guys. They're proving themselves and opening the door. That's the first step.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher b'char banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'lohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem ani Adonai Eloheihem vehi tisbachu zevach shalamim l'Adonai l'irsoneichem tisbachu bayom zivchachem yachel u'mimochorat V'hanotar ad yom hashlishi ba'esh yisarev.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And we say aloud, Yesher Koach, Yesher Koach. Give her a big hug.
That's where we are.
All right, you guys going to come and stay over here? Over here?
All right, Rachel, on the occasion of your bat mitzvah, Rachel Stephanie Hurst, we call you to the Torah. Ta'amud Shoshana bat Aharon Vidina habat Mitzvah la Aliyah la Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Ve'im he'achol v'yahel bayom hashlishi pigulhu lo yiratzeh ve'ochlav avono Isa ki et kodesh Adonai hilel v'nikrita ha'nefesh hahiv me'amecha uvkutrechem et kitzir artzehem lo techaleh peat sadha liksor veleket kitzerha lo telaket. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. They would say aloud, Yeshakah. Beautiful. Where are you going? Where are you? I mean, you got to get a hug again.
There's always a lot of adrenaline after Torah.
You guys could be sitting here.
Feeling refreshed.
My Torah portion, Kiddushim, means holy. How exactly does one live a holy life? Often when we think of holiness, we think of God or religious practices. For example, we bless food or wine, and we pray on Shabbat and holidays. But my Torah portion is pretty clear. To be holy, we must treat people with kindness, respect, and dignity. Holiness is a choice that we make in everyday life. Holiness is connected to action. My Torah portion commands mitzvot that challenge us to live better lives by acting better in our lives. Some of the mitzvot feel a bit outdated and don't necessarily apply to most people today. For example, my Torah portion begins with the commandment, "Thou shalt not pick your vineyard bare or gather in the fall fruit from your vineyard," which feels distant and unrelatable. Of course I'm not going to pick all the grapes from the vine. I'm not even going to pick one grape from a vine. No one I know picks grape from a vine. If I'm being totally honest, I'm not even completely sure I know what a grapevine looks like. I mean, it's not like vineyards are something you find in the suburbs of Charlotte. And then there's the commandment, "When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest." You may think, I don't even have a field, and I certainly don't grow wheat. Or, what does reaping even mean? Or maybe you're thinking, how does this apply to my life in Charlotte, North Carolina? Well, my friend, I'm glad you hypothetically asked. It is our responsibility to use the values of these commandments in ways that make sense today. Taken literally, these commandments are about farming and leaving enough of your crop for those who are hungry. However, once we modernize it and make it more applicable to our lives, it becomes about sharing what we have with those who are less fortunate. While these are only two examples, most of the commandments in my Torah portion show a 3,000-year-old practice of the ways in which the Jewish community helps others and treats others with kindness. The theme of caring for others is repeated many times in my Torah portion. Don't defraud our fellow, don't commit a robbery, don't insult the deaf, don't place a stumbling block in front of the blind. But we also make the choice to be holy when we tell our friends and family we love them. We make the choice to be holy when we help someone who is less fortunate than we are. We make the choice to be holy every day in the way that we treat others. And each of these is an example of holiness. That's how we live a holy life, with kindness. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. For the fourth Aliyah, invite forward Blakely Lord and Amanda Jones.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
V'charmacha lo te'oleo uferet karmecha lo telakit le'ani v'lager ta'azov otam ani Adonai Eloheihem lo tignovu v'lo techahashu v'lo teshakeru ishba mito v'lo teshaveu v'ishmi mashaker v'hilalta et shem Elohecha ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. And we say Yesher Koach. They're already ready to stand up. Invite forward your parents, Harrison and Annie, and Andrew, your brother, to come forward for the Aliyah. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Lo ta'ashok et re'acha v'lo Lo talin pe'olot zahir itecha ad boker. Lo tikolel keresh v'lichnei iver. Lo titein mishol ve'aretam elehecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'asu ovel b'mishpat. Lo tisa f'nei dal, v'lo tedar f'nei gadol, v'tzedek tishpot amitecha.
Amen. We say Yesher Koach for catching the Torah. Exactly. Come on over. We had to have some excitement. Come on over. Come back. Come close by.
What's about Mitzvah without some spice?
All right, here we go. Hadley, Peggy, Lord, we call you today to the Torah as a bat mitzvah. Ta'amod chaya bat Chana ve'Azriel habat mitzvah la'aliyah la'Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch
Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Chamarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Lelotele Rahil Be'amecha Lo Ta'amod Adam Recha Ani Adonai. Lo Tisna Et Ahicha B'yovavecha Hoheach Tohiach Et Amitecha V'lo Tisa Alav Hate. Lo Tikom V'lo Titor Et Renei Amecha Haftara Reacha Kamocha Ani
Adonai.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Olam Nata B'toheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
We say Yesher Koach. As we have the Torah out, we take time each and every week to think of those in our community who are in need of healing. I'm going to invite the names to be shared on the screen. And we recognize that there are a lot of people in our community who are in need of healing of mind and body and spirit and soul. That healing does not come easily, and that very often what is really needed is not just a doctor or a nurse or a compassionate person who's a caretaker, but very often what's also needed is outreach. And so the names on the screen are a reflection and a reminder to us to reach out to those who are in need, whether they're on the screen or they're people that you know who you're thinking about right now. And perhaps you don't know them, but you share a name, or you know someone who shares a name like theirs, and you can understand what it's like to be in chronic pain, to be desiring prayer. And so we think of them. We take a moment to just also think of those in our own lives who we can reach out to after services. We say, Baruch Atah Adonai Rafeh Cholim, blessed are you, O God, who walks with, who supports, and who comforts those who are in need. invite Andrew Lord to please come back up to lift the Torah. We have Lisa and Dean Keck, if you will come forward to help open the ark doors. And David and Will, if you will come up to help dress the Torah. I invite the congregation to please rise. Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Ya la la la. Sorry. Please be seated. In our Jewish tradition, we have something called Haftarah. And Haftarah means an additional reading that happens on Saturday mornings that is actually connected to our Torah portion. And it's connected either thematically because of the theme of the Torah portion or thematically because of the time of year that we're in. And you may have heard me mention before that we're in this period called the Omer. And the Omer is the number of days that we count up that sort of match how the Israelites marched from Egypt towards Mount Sinai. And for us, it's the counting up between Passover and the holiday of Shavuot, where we celebrate the giving of the Ten Commandments, the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. And so the Haftarot right now are actually connected with this idea and this theme of return, right, of redemption, of the recognition that the generation that lived in the desert is not the only generation to have actually ever experienced pain and difficulty, but that happens to all of us at times. And yet there is a brighter tomorrow, and perhaps, I don't know, let's say pretend like you lived through a pandemic in the last 2 years and you recognize that things seemed sort of tumultuous around us, and you're like, well, is it going to get better? And the prophets are here to remind us that it does get better and that there is a future of promise and potential ahead of us, just like the ancient stories of our tradition. We're going to hear the blessing before the Haftarah. We'll hear the words of the Haftarah read and then the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzav et Abraham hane'emarim v'asam emet Baruch atah Adonai Haboher Batorah, Vivoshe Avdo, V'Yisrael Amo, Uvinvieh Haemet Yatzedek. Hinei Amim Ba'im, Neum Adonai, V'nigash Horesh, Bakotzer, V'dorech Hanavim, V'moshich Hazara, V'kitifu Hecharim, Asis, V'cho HaGivaot, Titmo Gagna.
V'shavti et Shavut Amim Yisrael Uvanu Arim Shamot Ve'ashavu Venatu Cheramim Ve'shavtu Et Yenam Ve'asu Ganot Ve'achlu Et Prehem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sur kol haolamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el hanemar ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber umkayem shekol dibarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'linucha lechavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mavarchim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid le'olam ha'ed Baruch atah Adonai
Rishmo.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
I'd like to thank everyone who got me to where I am today, starting with my amazing teachers and tutors at Hebrew School, and of course Rabbi Knight and Cantor Mary. And thanks to all my friends for coming today. Congrats to Hadley and the rest of the Lord family. You're a great friend. My great aunt Linda Bloom died a few months ago. I wish she could have been here in person with us on this incredible day. I know she's here in spirit. Grammy and Poppy, I love spending the night at your house and eating all of your good food and playing all your board games. Gree, it's always a blast when you come to Charlotte or when we go to your house and eat your famous chicken pot pie. I'm so glad you're here. Aunt Hill and Uncle Andrew, I love seeing you and talking on the phone with you. You always find a way to cheer me up if I'm unhappy or upset at the beginning of our conversations. I'm so lucky to have two great brothers. Will, you're full of amazing and sometimes random facts. Thanks for cheering me on and entertaining me. David, I appreciate your self-confidence, and your crazy antics amuse me all the time. Finally, Mom and Dad. Mom, thanks for always cooking the best foods and the adventurous creativity you've had with the vegetables we've never heard of. You have great life lessons and are always available when I need you. Dad, I love biking with you and occasionally being the instrumental accompaniment for your guitar playing, and also going on the hunt for the best Japanese food in Charlotte. I hate to admit it, but I sometimes laugh at your dad jokes. I love the two of you. Mom and Dad, please join me on the BMI.
Rachel, you did a tremendous job today, and it's the result of the effort you've put into preparing. We're very proud of you. It's been a joy watching you grow up these past 14 years. What sticks out to me the most recently is that you're more open to challenging yourself and taking chances. You went from being someone that refused to run to someone who stepped out of her comfort zone, signed up for cross country in the fall, and is now on the track team running 4 times a week. You recently joined your scout troop. You took a chance joining a new activity when you didn't know a single person going in. Not many kids in that situation would put themselves out there like that, but you did. And you've made new friends, had great experiences, and gained a whole bunch of new skills by joining that troop. And now you're well on your way to achieving your goal of becoming an Eagle Scout. So while we're proud of you, we want you to be proud of yourself, having the confidence to challenge yourself, and we want you to draw on those challenging, uncomfortable experiences anytime a voice may be urging you not to take a chance. Believe in yourself, trust yourself, and keep seeking what makes you most happy.
Rachel, as I reflect back on these past 14 years, I'm amazed at how much good fortune they've held for our family. You're a big part of that. 17 years ago, your dad and I were married here on this bema with Cantor Mary officiating. Wow. Shortly thereafter, you came along and brought such joyous change to our lives. And now you're leading us as we begin the first of 3 B'nai Mitzvah journeys. We're so proud of you and all the hard work that you've done to prepare for today. I want to tell you a few things that we admire about you, and then we'll close with a blessing as you begin your journey into adult life. You're brave and adventurous and not afraid to follow your own path. As Dad said, you're stronger than you realize, and discover this when you accept new challenges. You're responsible and trustworthy. You have a kind and caring heart, and people enjoy your company. I could go on and on. And now, I'll close with a blessing and a nod to the Irish side of our family. May you have enough. May your joys be as bright as the morning, and your sorrows merely be shadows that fade in the sunlight of love. May you have enough happiness to keep you sweet, enough trials to keep you strong, enough sorrow to keep you human, enough hope to keep you happy, enough failure to keep you humble, enough success to keep you eager, enough friends to give you comfort, enough faith and courage in yourself to banish sadness, enough wealth to meet your needs, and one thing more, enough determination to make each day more wonderful than the one before. We're proud of you. We love you.
First and foremost, thank you to all of my teachers and tutors, especially Amy Montoni, who came to be here today, for helping me to get ready for today. Thank you to all of the clergy, especially Cantor Mary. Without you, I truly wouldn't have been able to do this. Thank you to Rabbi Knight for helping me to write such amazing speeches and helping me to grasp a better concept on what my Torah portion means to me. Mazel tov, Rachel. I've been excited to be your partner since we got our original dates 4 years ago. I'm so glad we went through the pandemic process together. You did beautifully today. Thank you to all of my Jewish friends who gave me sympathy and reassurance throughout this entire process. Whether I know you from religious school or camp, you made sure I never felt isolated, and I so deeply appreciate that. Thank you to my J-Stage family for always offering love, encouragement, and a safe space. Thank you to my school friends for providing support in my everyday life, and I appreciate the Google searches you've done to prepare for today. Thank you to everyone who traveled so far to be here, from England, California, Iowa, New Mexico, Arizona, Massachusetts, New York, Maryland, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and of course, North Carolina. It means the world to me that you're here. And last but not least, my family. For those of you who couldn't be here today, I'm keeping you here in memory. Grammy, I honor you every day with my middle name. Graham, I'm wearing your necklace. And Aunt Rachel, Mom is wearing your tallis. And those who are physically here, thank you to my cousins who have played such a huge role in who I am today. Whether I see you every holiday or every few years, I wouldn't be the same without you, and I love you so much. Thank you to all my aunts and uncles who've always provided extra structure and love in my life. Thank you to Grandma and Grandpa for always being such a consistent part of my life. Thank you to Pop-Pop and Cece for always being loving and supportive of everything I do. Thank you to Andrew for all the brutal honesty and rides to fast food. And most importantly, thank you to both of my parents for putting up with everything along the way. Thank you, Dad, for always understanding me as a person and for never failing to egg me and my, or should I say our, sense of humor on. And thank you, Mom, for being so patient with me and for never failing to keep me humble by assuring me that I'm not that funny. On that note, Mom and Dad, please come join me on the bima.
Hadley, sweet girl, I remember the day you were born. I looked out the window, and it was raining cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms. I wasn't supposed to cry yet. That was supposed to be later. Cherry blossoms hold a lot of symbolism: happiness, new beginnings, female spirit, a reminder to appreciate the beauty in life. And it was such a foreshadowing of the person that you are. You are amazing. I can't look at you.
This didn't happen during the rehearsal.
You, my amazing girl, who is filled with such spirit and happiness, have been a continuous reminder to appreciate the beauty in what can sometimes seem to be the small things. So much of your toddler years were spent with me trying to hurry you along, while you stopped and in turn reminded me to appreciate the ladybug amidst the flowers, or the shape of a leaf, or the colors of the sky that were right in front of me. Your zest for life and ability to see things outside of the box have been a joy to watch and learn from. I would say I can't wait, but you have taught me to be more patient. So I will rephrase that and say, I'm looking forward to seeing where life takes you as you carpe each diem. We had the accidental good fortune of getting to choose your Hebrew name recently, which means we got to choose the name that we know suits you. Haya means life, and it is the perfect name for you. Not only are you full of life, but you make my life full. I am so proud of you, and I love you so much.
Well, now Mom's making me cry about things, so thanks for that, babe. Hadley, I have been absolutely smitten by you since the moment you came snuffling into the world as a baby. You were always such a sweet, smiley little ray of sunshine, and that has not changed. And then you learned to talk. And suddenly you weren't just adorable, you were smart and clever and absolutely hilarious. You sang constantly. You wanted to read everything, to know everything. You always stopped to smell the roses, no matter how much of a hurry we were all in, and you absolutely insisted that everyone else stop and take a moment to enjoy them too. And none of that has changed. Then you turned into a preteen, and you got a little surlier. But even as the other kids got catty and cliquey and mean, you stayed loyal and welcoming and kind. And I hope that that never changes. And now, you've turned into this brilliant, beautiful young woman. And
You flatter me. Stop.
I speak only truth. You're so smart, and you're so funny, and I just genuinely enjoy spending time with you, discussing books and history and philosophy, making and especially eating food, playing new songs for one another, marathoning Buffy the Vampire Slayer, telling puns that make everyone else wince. Being your dad and spending time with you is one of the great joys of my life. I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much, and that will never, ever change. I love you, little one.
Please rise.
Thanks for the reminder.
There's an old Jewish teaching that says that there was a king who was wanting a ring, that whenever he looked at the ring, if he was sad, it would make him happy, and if he was happy, it would make him sad. And he went, and none of his advisors were able to find this ring, but one jeweler said, I think I've got it, and he made this ring. And on the inside of the ring was inscribed the words, Gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass. There have been a lot of trying moments in preparing for this particular Benot Mitzvah. To say that we've had plagues is an understatement. even this week, it's really like an understatement, right? When we did the rehearsal this week, we could barely hear the two of you because there was so much rain and pouring, right? And it's just beautiful outside. Perfect. And whether it's a pandemic or a rescheduled date or a friendship and the recognition that sometimes when there are sad moments, just wait a little while and they'll become happy. And sometimes when there are happy moments, sometimes they'll be touched with pangs of sadness too. That tradition of Gamze Ya'avor, I think, could not be more perfect for the two of you. Things will happen and things will pass, and the two of you will always carry the values of who you are into this world. The capabilities that Cantor Thomas and I have seen so well of who you are into this world. And you will share them with others, and that is all of our blessing. And so we are thrilled to offer you a blessing which is found at the very center of the Torah. It's a very old blessing. It's a blessing that is thousands of years old, and we know that because archaeologically we found remnants of it in Jerusalem. And it's a prayer that priests used to give the people, but now it's a prayer that parents give to their children. So I know that you have your arms around each other, and it's awesome. I'm going to invite you to keep your arms right there. It's perfect, right? But I invite your parents also to have their arms around each other, right? And all of us, Cantor Thomas is going to chant the blessing, and I'll translate, and we're going to all respond, Ken Yehi Ratzon, which means, may this be God's will. Let's practice that one moment. Everyone say, Ken Yehi Ratzon. Together, Ken Yehi Ratzon. Perfect.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's radiance shine upon you and be gracious to you. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
And may God be with you every day of your lives, and may God be with you as you run and as you sing and as you smell the roses. And may God's gift to you be that of shalom, of peace, and shlemut, of wholeness. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
We're going to continue with the words of Aleinu L'Shabeach, standing exactly where we are and looking at the screen are our prayer books on page 582.
586.
586? Okay, sorry. I was a couple pages off, just to fool everyone. Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol.
Lateit Gedula Liotzer Bereshit. Shelo Asanu Kigoye Ha'aratzot. Velo Samanu Kemishpechot Ha'adama. Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem Vigor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam Va'anachnu Korim Umishtachadim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai Lemelech Al Kol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad
Ushemo Please be seated. At this time, we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us and those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts as our very own. We're in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days after the deaths of Stephen Bloom, Denise Cooper, Rhoda Goldberg, and Constance Connie Krause. We mark with sympathy and sadness the yard sites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Dorla Anker, Ira Bernstein, Hannah Bittner-Burrs, Liv Borison, Neil Boyarsky, Estella Cardoza, Harry Cohen, William Cohen, Isidore M. Cohen, Nora Conway, Kenneth Deal, Sarah Dixon, Esther Doris, Jean Dratler, Fred Dworkin, Huntley B. Fairchild Sr., David Firstman, Ira Goldberg, Thelma Goldstein, Neil Gottheimer, Harold Greenblatt, Arthur Hiddleman, Zedra Holmes, Irving K. Rabbit Jacobson, Wendy Kaplan, Abraham Katowitz, Florence Klein, Hattie Kleinrock, George Crone, David Levine, Alice Madonic, Blanche Manton, Bernard Manton, Michael Martin, Sheldon Martin, Dan McAlery, Herman Benjamin Meiselman, Helen Mervis, Pearl Miller, Angie Millman, Paul Mittler, Mort Mooney, Mel Morgenstein, Alfred Moulter, Robert Allen Musler, Victor Osborne, Evelyn Osborne, Julius Leon Palevsky, Ruth Parton, Martin Lutz Pollock, Joseph L. Prager, Edna Sue Reese, Lucretia Reich, Horace Richter, Helen E. Risch, David Rose, Harry Locke, Bud Rosenbaum Jr., Richard Roth, Abraham Rothkopf, Naomi R. Royal, Irma Rubin, Golda Saslaw, Larry Sawarski, Clara Schwartzbach, Marshall Seidler, Frank Siegel, Dorothy Shane, Nathaniel Sherbert, Mortimer Schubert, Abraham Siegel, David Silverman, Shilvy Silverstein, Jack Stein, Betty Wisen Steinberg, Ralph Stern, Jenny Mae Stevenson, Samuel Strassfield, Melvin Sussy, Betty Sealbinder Sutton, Sylvia Utah, Lucille Weiler, Joseph Ray Weinstein, and Rita Wernikoff. Mark of sympathy as well for all who died in the Shoah, the Holocaust, our American servicemen and women who've given their lives for our freedoms, and those who died overseas, and those who defended the state of Israel. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing as we rise as one congregational family with the words of Kadisha Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598. Please rise. Yitkadal vayitkadash shemei rabba, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon uv'yomei chon uv'chayei dechol